ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always. Once again, this is Richard Tiemann and the award-winning Fan Show. I want to thank you all for joining me on this Thursday evening. Tonight's episode should not disappoint. I got Jake Medlock coming up, the quarterback for the Cedar Rapids Titans, and then a voicemail, a two-parter from Amir Ishmael of the Massachusetts Pirates. He heard Coach Back talking smack on the show, and now he had a few words to say of his own. So we're going to do that at the end of the show. Should be a lot of fun. And honestly, I can't wait. We've got so much to cover this episode because the IFL postseason is upon us this weekend. And yeah, we're going to, last week of the regular season before the postseason. There we go. I keep getting ahead of myself, but because the playoff spots have yet to be determined, but we know who's in, just not who's playing where yet. That's what we're going to speculate and go over. We'll have Jake Medlock talk about his thoughts on the season that was and where he thinks the chips may fall this weekend in the IFL. We got NAL action as well. BattleBots tomorrow night. That should be great. Last night's episode was fantastic. Thank you, Al Kindle, and of course Ed Robinson for the great time. We did a not one but two segment BattleBot special yesterday. So in case you missed it, go check that out on all the podcast platforms that you so choose, including iHeartRadio, iTunes, SoundCloud, and of course Spreaker.com, where I'm broadcasting you live right now from within the Fan Cave studio. So let's not delay anymore. Let's get right to today's headlines. And headlines, of course, brought to you by Dynamite Enterprises. More people are getting shirts. It's been a really good feeling, good experience selling these Team Fan Show shirts. I'm very excited about everyone's feedback and them being satisfied with the product. That's, of course, the most important thing is the satisfaction guaranteed and then that being upheld. But, it's great. It really is. Thank you guys so much for your continued support, for buying stuff with my logo on it. It's just an incredible feeling. Not as good as the feeling you get when you see people sporting their updating their profile pics on social media with a shot of them holding the Fan Show belt, even if I am cropped out of it, but that's all right. So Dynamite Enterprises is responsible for the shirts, and they're going to be responsible for much, much more to come. We're already talking about what else we can get for the Fan Show from that particular company. Dynamite Enterprises, of course, so great to work with. It's been so much fun. And sorry, I had to throw things at my pets here because they keep messing with stuff. So stay out of the box. Anyway, Dynamite Enterprises, great guys. Hit up Ethan, dynamiteenterprises.com. You can also give him a phone call at 509-723-0140. Custom apparel, promo items, embroidery, banners, trophies, stickers, foam fingers, and of course t-shirts and hats. And so the headlines, let's see, it was Military Day, kind of, the birthday of when the military was first established. And so Robert Alberino, you may remember him from the Fan Show, vice president of the San Francisco 49ers, has been having people submit photos of their time in the service to give out some sweet military 49er swag. So there's another man doing good things because he's a good man. Good men do good things, sometimes not always, but for the most part, I think Alberino nails it right on the head. Let's see. Apparently, Arians loves that the Cards are adding ex-Cowboy wide receiver Butler. Not sure what it matters to Arians. He's not there anymore. Marvin Jones backs Matt Patricia. It's football. We run. It's cool. Chiefs wide receiver says Mahomes is ready to be the man for KC. I don't know what it is about Mahomes. I just don't think he's going to be that great of a quarterback. And this is not me going all Skip Bayless saying he's going to fail and fail hard. It's like, I'm sorry. I don't see what apparently a lot of people see in him that define him as the guy that's going to take him and lead the Chiefs to multiple Super Bowls and a dynasty for the ages. I do not see it. Goff, I was very hesitant about. Am I right? Because he played in a system where he hadn't taken a single snap under center. And then, of course, he rode the bench for a majority of the season. And I told you guys, I said, that their quarterback at the time deserved to be a starter somewhere. And then he goes and he gets the job with Minnesota. And why can't I think of his name right now? What was it? This should not be how this is. What is the name for the quarterback that was with the Cardinals and then the Vikings? And it's not Cousins. Cousins went from Washington to Minnesota. This guy went from Arizona to Minnesota to, is it Denver? Man, I can't remember his name. It's going to bug me now. Oh, well, we'll figure it out later. But anyway, I said that he deserved a starting spot, and what do you know? He got a starting spot, took the Vikings to the NFC Championship game, and now has his own nice little starting gig in Denver. So good for him. But Goff, I think, is coming around. That's good to see, right? And so the jury's out on Mahomes for me. And I think that there's been so many quarterbacks that everybody thought was going to be like the next guy. I don't see anything that stands out from the rest when it comes to Mahomes. I don't. And I don't think that that's like a shame on me moment. Everybody has their favorites. Everybody has the players that they're gushy over. Mahomes is not that for me. I haven't gushed over a player in a very long time. Okay, let's just be honest. Like I'm not a skeptic. I'm just a person that it's like the more that you hype something up and then it doesn't live up to that hype, the more you hated the hype, right? So like Odell Beckham Jr., there's always hype every year, and then every year something else happens. It's something different. He gets hurt. He has something happen on the sidelines, something happen outside of the game of football. But no matter what it is, no matter what really matters at the end of the day, it's always all cameras are on him. And so you hype it up. It doesn't live up to the hype. And so all that hype that you were annoyed with to begin with, you're now even more annoyed that they hyped it up that much just to have it not live up to the hype. I don't know how many times I can say hype in a single phrase, but I believe that is probably the max that I can fit in there. Terrell Owens eyes a comeback with the 49ers. This is by the check down, so I don't think it's going to be really very relevant right now. Let's see what Terrell Owens has to say. Terrell Owens has made it quite clear that he's still very, very interested in making an NFL comeback. In his latest public plea, the 44-year-old said he'd like to return to the team that drafted him way back in '96. Tweet by Owens was quoting John Lynch, and it said, John Lynch said, "Great job, T.O." And, of course, this was back on June 4th that this was published, and it says, Terrell quoted it, said, "Thanks, I know Jimmy G is going to need big play receiver this year at some point. Let's make it happen." Interesting. This appeal came over the weekend after 49ers GM John Lynch congratulated Owens for bringing awareness to Alzheimer's disease. Oh, maybe this thing is just way outdated. I don't know. It just seems odd for for this to be like here on the front page, knowing that he's a Hall of Famer now. When wasn't the Hall of Fame before the 4th? It had to have been, didn't it? I don't know. It's too much to keep up with. This is the dead zone, as we call it, for the NFL. We're in that limbo where we want it, but it's not ready yet. I want him to do another Ask Jerry Jones. Let's do an AMA with Jerry Jones again, because that helped pass the time, didn't it? Ask Me Anything, Jerry Jones edition. Those are great. Ask Me Anything, Bill Belichick edition. That could be fun too, right? And would you guys stay out of the box? Stay out of the box. It's not time for you guys to be in the box yet. Don't get pets, kids. All right. As far as your indoor football league news, which is the most important coming up this weekend. So here's how it all breaks down. We have a three-way tie for first, 10-3 for Iowa, Arizona, Sioux Falls. According to my power rankings, Sioux Falls is number one because of their big win over Iowa and the manner in which they did it. It was a comeback win, walk-off, safety. How many times do you see that in football on any level? Arizona had a bye week, but Arizona continues to play extremely well. Their only losses all season have been to the Iowa Barnstormers. So Barnstormers in second because of the loss to Sioux Falls, and Arizona in third. That's how my power rankings go. However, the actual standings are that Iowa is number one. Okay, they have it, Arizona number one, but that is incorrect. Iowa should be above Arizona because they own the tiebreaker with a sweep, 3-0. Then it would be Arizona and then Sioux Falls. Then we have Nebraska, but that doesn't matter right now. So the playoff picture plays out as follows. Iowa is the only one of the three in control of their own destiny. Iowa wins the road to the United Bowl, goes through, and possibly makes its final stop in Des Moines, Iowa, at Wells Fargo Arena. They would, if they win, they get the number one seed. They host their playoff game, which would be more than likely against the Nebraska Danger. I don't know why I said more than likely. That's like definitive. If Iowa wins and they're the number one seed, they're playing Nebraska. There's no two ways about it. Then, if they win that game, that's where the United Bowl is. It's in Des Moines, Iowa. So they have one win before they host their first championship in franchise history. Now, moving on from that. So like I said, Iowa, the only team that control their own destiny. They win, it's a done deal, okay? All they have to do is win their playoff game and they host the championship. Next in line is Arizona. If Arizona wins, they would need Iowa to lose in order to take the number one seed from them. They would then play Nebraska. Iowa would host Sioux Falls. Arizona cannot just win and have Iowa win and be the number one seed. Their number one seed is solely determined on if Iowa were to lose. So Arizona needs to win, but they need Iowa to lose as well. And then the Sioux Falls Storm, they very much are not in control of their own destiny. They need to win, and they need both Arizona and Iowa to lose. If that would happen, they would have the better record of the three and get vaulted from the number 3 spot all the way into the number 1 seed. They would then host Nebraska, and Arizona and Iowa would square off in the first round of the playoffs, or I guess just the playoff for the 4th time this season. Arizona is 2-0 against Sioux Falls, so they own that tiebreaker. So if Arizona wins and Sioux Falls wins, Arizona still gets the higher seed. Iowa owns the tiebreaker over Arizona, but not over Sioux Falls. However, their strength of schedule is better than Sioux Falls because of how many times they played Arizona. So there you have it. Iowa, they win. It's a done deal. Arizona needs to win and Iowa to lose. Sioux Falls needs to win and Arizona and Iowa to lose. Nebraska, we're not even talking about that right now. So Iowa will host Cedar Rapids, Sioux Falls will host Green Bay, and Arizona takes it on the road to Nebraska for what is the only tune-up to the playoff game that we have this weekend. Sioux Falls, this should really just be going through the motions against Green Bay, and Iowa, it's a rival game, and Cedar Rapids has won 2 straight. We'll talk to Jake Medlock about it, get his thoughts, but that's going to be a fun game to watch. Iowa should win, but there's no guarantees. I feel like the biggest upset of the weekend would have to be either Green Bay winning on the road against the Storm or Nebraska beating Arizona. Yeah, I'm going to say even Green Bay being on the road against Sioux Falls wouldn't be as big of an upset as Nebraska over Arizona, knowing that Nebraska's at home. But I could be wrong. So there you have it. There's your postseason. As far as the National Arena League, we got some games coming up this weekend. Massachusetts will host the Columbus Lions, battle for second place. And the Lehigh Valley Steelhawks will take on the Maine Mammoths for the battle of not last. I'm sorry. I don't mean it to come across that way, but it's the truth right now, okay? Battle for not last. Loser would be at the bottom of the heap. Massachusetts and Columbus would be right up towards the top, and currently both of them are right in the mix for number 2 and number 3. This would help shape that a lot better. Columbus is 5-2. Mass is 6-3. Winner obviously gets the number 2 spot at this point in the season. This is going into week 11, and we are still with plenty of NAL football left to be played. So with that, I'm done blabbering and rambling. We're going to go to commercial and get my buddy Jake Medlock on the show for some football and nonsense from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We'll be right back. You're listening to The F.A.N Show, your home for all things football and nonsense. My special guest tonight, Farouk. Farouk, welcome.
He's no expert, but here's the thing. Football and nonsense is what he brings. Sports talk with a twist. It's the F.A.N Show.
Do you know him as Kevin from the League? It is none other than very funny Steve Ranazisi.
99% of the population doesn't know who I am, but the 1% do. They yell and scream inappropriate things at me in public.
Kyle Ray. Kyle, welcome.
And I was like, wow, I think we just saw the whole Super Bowl, Phyllis. It was like that scene in The Simpsons. Like, why rent the movie? I just saw the best part.
Funny man Brad Williams.
Yeah, I'm here. No, I flew in just for your podcast. I've heard about this podcast. I've heard it's fantastic.
It's Mac and Farva, but they are my special guests tonight. Steve Lemmy, Kevin Heffernan.
I was in Mexico for 10 weeks in a Speedo. Like, that was me going to work. I was putting on a Speedo.
Farva is the most fun to play, and it was a blast to do that again, to do Farva again.
So then the makeup artist had to put Vaseline on your body, right?
Yeah.
And then put the powdered sugar on top of that. Is your name really Richard Siemens?
Listen live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night on Spreaker.com or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and SoundCloud. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Returning to the show is the quarterback of the Cedar Rapids Titans. It is Jake Medlock. Jake, welcome back, man. How you doing?
Oh, appreciate it. Thanks for having me again.
Hey, man, always a pleasure. I love talking to quarterbacks. You guys tend to give me a little bit more truth, in the interviews because you guys have been there, you've done it, you've seen it, and that is the case this weekend. Rivalry game. And you guys have a chance to really screw things up for the postseason picture. Has that been your motivation this week?
Oh, absolutely. It's our last week of the season. We're playing our rivalry. All I keep hearing about this game, and, they're the best team. They got Powell at quarterback and Zach Allen at hosting their defense. I mean, it's going to be a hard game. I mean, they're the team this year that's always given me trouble, and I'm very excited, come out, hopefully get the win and, stir up this playoff picture and make it even crazier than what it is already.
Yeah, it's the first time in a long time we've seen a playoff picture where the seeding was not yet determined the last week. I know last year came close, but not quite like this, where we've got a three-way tie for the top seeds. Now, obviously, Nebraska will be number 4 without a doubt, and they clinched. Now, you guys, if you win and they lose, you would have tied records, but I would imagine someone had to have crunched the numbers and gone through the tie-breaking scenarios that said, well, regardless, Nebraska has the tiebreaker for whichever category. When did you guys find that out?
We found that out after the Green Bay game. We were told because of, we were supposed to play Green Bay earlier in the year, because I guess we were supposed to play one game more than everybody else, us in Green Bay. So we were trying to fight for that extra game to get it rescheduled or as a forfeit. But I don't see it happening because of it. Now all the teams have played a certain amount of games. But we found out after we beat Green Bay that we were probably not going to get that game.
Wow, that's tough, man. And I'm not a fan of tie-breaking scenarios. I know there's pros and cons to every way that they do it, but
right.
It's tough to have strength of schedule be one because there's 6 teams in the league, and if you so much as didn't play one as many times as another, it's like that's no fault of yours. That's the schedule makers, and it's something that I wish there was a better method. Now, I always offer up my power rankings as, a possible tie-breaking scenario if the league should ever need it. And obviously, I would have had you guys ranked above Nebraska, even with a win less, because you guys have managed to win back-to-back, where Nebraska hasn't won since, like, the last time that you guys, I think, lost a game. And to start this your streak, and so it's just for me, like, who's more relevant right now, is Cedar Rapids or Nebraska? And it definitely goes to you guys. But I don't, I'm not the league. I don't make up the rules. But I know that for a lot of people, it was a bit, rubbed the wrong way to know that Nebraska kind of fell into the last playoff spot, even though you guys could end up with a tied record, and you never did get that second game with Green Bay.
Yeah, it's a tough one to swallow, but, unfortunately we just got hot at the wrong time. If it was all we had to do was finish that game off in Arizona with the one that we lost 83-84. We finish that game and win, it's a whole different ball game. And, there's a couple games this year, we should be a 7-win ball game team. There's a couple games where there was 1 or 2 plays, that we should have, we should have came out with the W, but, because we were a young team, we just made young mistakes. And, you can finally tell, that the young guys on this team are starting to understand the indoor game. And, and the only thing we look forward to is, it's our last game to come out, firing on all cylinders and giving everything we got. Because to me, Iowa is the team to beat. Iowa is the best team to me by far defensively. They're very physical. Their coach has a great scheme. And offensively, they're high powerful. And they got a quarterback. He can throw it and he can run it. He's dangerous in both areas.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa's the feel-good story just because of what all they've accomplished this season. The first win in franchise history against Sioux Falls, the way that they did it on the road, and then, how another streak just like last year, going 3-0 against Arizona, and now they have a chance to host and be in their first championship game in franchise history. So it's a feel-good story. You like that. And if you're going to ask me my honest opinion about, you guys and where you are and the things that happened and transpired over the season, I think you guys did finish that game in Arizona. There was some questionable stuff going on there where I was just like, man, like, don't let it end like that. But you guys never quit fighting, and I think that's very commendable on your end, not only as a quarterback, but as a team. And then, of course, head coach Marvin Jones. How's his mood been the last couple of weeks?
He's been fiery. He's the type of guy, he's never going to give up. We're a type of team. We feed off of him. We feed off of his energy and my energy, and we're a type of guys that we're not going to give up till that clock hits 0. It don't matter what the score is. We're going to come after you with everything we got. Even this week, it's been tough knowing that we're not going to playoffs, but we've been having great practices. We've been getting after it, still learning the game, because you never know. This could be someone's last game forever, and we have the mentality of, if this is my last game, I want to go out on top. And so we're just getting ready for everything, getting offense-wise. We started slow last week, and making sure that doesn't happen, this week, because we got to be ready to fight, be ready to go, because they're going to score, and they've always had a scheme against us that we have struggled with and in the past, and hopefully, this time around we don't struggle with it. Hopefully it's a high-scoring game like Arizona where it's 83-84 or 90-something. That's the type of game I wanted. And hopefully, I'd like that to happen, but it's going to be tough because they're a great ball club.
Yeah, I think rivalry games are definitely my favorite in any league. They never disappoint. But football, there tends to be like a certain what is it? A vibe and aura to rivalry games when it comes to teams, especially at a point in the season where it seems like they're going in opposite directions. It always makes for a good clash. But when it comes to you guys, coulda, shoulda, woulda. You look back and a few missed opportunities. But let's play hypothetical here. Let's say you guys beat Iowa this weekend, which would be in the well at home for them, and then they go on to still manage to get the number 1 seed. They host Nebraska. They beat Nebraska, and then they go on to win the United Bowl championship. Is this something where we're going to see memes of Jake Medlock sipping on Gatorade saying, hey, we beat the United Bowl champs, but that's none of our business?
Nah, I'm not that type of guy. If they win the championship, it's well deserved. They, if we, hopefully we pull out the win. Hopefully this weekend. But if they go on and win the championship, they deserve it. All throughout the whole year, Coach Wooten and all them, those guys have been rolling all year, and no matter what, I mean, they're a 10-win with a 10-3, I believe, right now, or something like that.
Yeah.
And, they're 10-3, we're 3-10. So, in the end, to me, records tell everything. And if they go on and win it, they deserve it. They've gone through all the teams in this league, and they've won. And they deserve it if they win it all.
Well, you guys were certainly entertaining to watch, especially you at quarterback. Now, did I see on social media somewhere, Instagram or otherwise, that you made a trip to Albany for something?
Yeah, I got a call up for the Albany Empire during the Nebraska Danger Week. I was there for a week. We were talking, and they wanted to see what I could do. I think it was for the future. What could happen after the season. It was great going up there and learning under Tommy Grady and Coach Moss and Coach Thompson, and learning the receivers. It's actually helped my game because it slowed down this game for me, and I was very appreciative of what they did for me. Bringing me up there, and hopefully, in the future something can happen. If not, it's all good. But it was definitely a great experience.
Yeah, and that's great, man. I'm glad to hear you guys getting opportunities elsewhere. I just saw that Chris Williams, former head coach of the Green Bay Blizzard, is now a regional scout for the Montreal team in the CFL. And, of course, the CFL has taken a handful of IFL players up there as well. So, it's not for nothing. You guys play mainly for film, but, yeah, how sweet would it be to make the postseason and then get that ring and that championship under your belt? But it clearly sounds like this is not the last hurrah for Jake Medlock. Have you given any thoughts to what the future holds and where you'd like to set your sights on next season?
No, I haven't really. I'm just looking forward to getting back to Florida and figuring out what my next plan is. Going to probably get into teaching and coaching, and if I end up getting a college coaching job, I might just call it a career. It just all depends. It all depends on what job I get after the season. Take care of my family, because that's most important to me. And, they've been supportive of my dreams, and I want to make sure I can make their dreams come true as well. So I don't know really right now. The right team has to come. The right team has to come, right, city, right fan base and everything. It just has to be the perfect fit for me to, where I go next.
Yeah, and I always applaud players for having the wherewithal and awareness of their value, that, if they're going to do something, they want it to be right. They want it to be more on their terms than anything else, because, you guys are professional athletes, but my God, do you not get paid like it? So it's hard. I was just talking to Malott earlier today from Green Bay. He got injured and he's out before their last game of the season. And he said, it's tough. You want to come back to this league, to even the same team, because you love the fans and you have that really personal connection with the franchise and the fans week in and week out. But man, that pay, it's tough to put your body on the line week in and week out for that kind of price tag. And I don't blame him at all. It's always been a tough pill for me to swallow as a fan, knowing that you guys are out there performing like professional athletes, but you get paid like you might as well have paid to play in this kind of league, and that's
exactly
just unfortunate. But there's still plenty of time for you to be in either the NAL or the IFL, or who knows where my expansion of the show coverage will go to next year. But you've got some time and opportunity to be the player of the game and sport the belt, and know that you were one of the elite in fan show lore, so there's something to look forward to.
Yes, sir.
Well, what's the sort of game plan for you guys, you yourself, you as a team, going into this last couple of nights before your last game of the season? Obviously, you want to be the spoiler. You want to make things complicated. But is there anything else that teams, players do the last week that, I don't know, is like maybe a team bonding thing, or the way that you guys say farewell? I never know how that works with you guys in the locker room.
Yeah, well, we've done like kind of a little funny thing. We did like a list of what we thought about the year, like funniest things that have happened, just goofy stuff like that, where we voted on, because there's some of these guys you'll never talk to ever again, and then there's some guys that you will have friendships forever with, and just knowing that because the great thing about football is you can bring people from so many different areas of the United States, and even sometimes from overseas or different countries. They come together with this different backgrounds, different beliefs, and it's kind of cool that, with all the things that crazy happen in this world, that in a football locker room, none of that matters. You're all brothers. You always take care of each other no matter what it is, and just getting to know everything, getting to know everything about everybody, because you never know someone's story, where they've come from, what has happened to them in their life, what are their beliefs. And, over the years, I've been blessed to go so many different places, and understanding different teammates, different players, different guys, and the friendships that I have built. Like, there are guys on this team that I have built friendships with that will probably last forever, and it's been awesome, because you would think, oh, these guys would never mesh. But when it comes to a football locker room, it's awesome, because there's so many different people from different cultures and religions and stuff like that, and just it's been awesome. It's been great understanding different people. My teammates, I've been so thankful this year. I've had the greatest team I could possibly have. I know it's not the year. We're better than a 3-10 team. And just some of the things have not happened the way that we wanted it to. But I wouldn't trade these guys for the world. To me, I feel like I have the best offensive line in the game. I feel I have the best receivers in the game, best running back, best defense. And it's just been great. It's just been great getting to know these guys.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, and I'm glad that you guys can take something like that away from each season. And I want to put it out there. Let's get a feel for where Jake Medlock is wrapping up his 2018 campaign. You said it's got to be more on your terms. So where would you like to see yourself suit up for next year?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Whoever wants me, whoever wants me. I'm not a big, I'm the type of person I can go anywhere there is. Whoever wants me, whoever's willing, to take a chance with me, because that's all I've needed. Someone took a chance on me in Germany. I was one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Someone took a chance on me in the CIF, my first ever time playing, full season arena league. One of the top quarterbacks in the league. Now I move up again. I'm in the IFL, Now I'm considered one of the best quarterbacks in the league. It's everywhere I've been, I'm always going to perform. It don't matter where I'm at. The one thing you'll get out of me is I'm going to be one of the hardest workers. I'm determined, and I want to be the best. And I always have a chip on my shoulder, because I was always told he's not good enough. When everywhere I've been since high school, I've been considered one of the top quarterbacks, And the one thing I'd like to get before my career is done is get a championship. And that's the one thing that I want, because I only got one under my belt in my career. I'd like to have another one.
Well, on that note, and I thank you very much for doing your Jake Medlock resume and sign me spiel on the fan show here. But speaking of championships, been a lot of chatter the last 2 years because of certain basketball player Kevin Durant, and the question's got to be asked: if you got asked to sign with a team that was poised for a championship run, we're talking more than obvious, would you do it? Like, is that how you see yourself wanting to get your championship, or does it even matter to you at this point?
Well, it's kind of hard because I'm a big LeBron James fan, so I don't believe in teaming up with super all-stars and winning a championship. I would rather be the guy, hey, I made 8 championships with a team that's not, loaded like the team that we're facing. I'd rather be on a team that's a lower level, team and doing the impossible. I'd rather be that guy to show that, hey, we can make this. And I'm not a big fan of just powering up with a bunch of powerhouse guys because that's just unfair. So I'm the type of guy that I want to bring the best out of whatever team and beat that powerhouse team.
Fair enough. I think that's the popular choice. Everybody wants to be, even on a team sport, they want to be the difference maker, right? But to get loaded up on a team in a team sport, it seems so backwards thinking, and that's always been the greatest irony in sports to me is stacking up a team in a team sport and having that be frowned upon. But hey, it is what it is. You guys play for yourselves or however you want to play. And I think that each one of you, for the most part, has a really good head on your shoulders, and your intentions are all in the right places. So it's great to get to know a lot of you guys, especially from the more humble grounds that is the indoor football league and other indoor leagues as well, because what it's like to maybe get close to getting there or get there and then be out and you're trying to get back. Like, you understand the work, the grind and everything that you have to put into it that some may take for granted. And I think that you guys are just model examples of what it means to not quit and not give up on what you truly want to accomplish in life. So thank you very much for that, Mr. Medlock. And last question, I don't know if you're a hockey fan, but it's the question of the week. What would you drink from the Stanley Cup?
What would I drink? Oh, I'm a whiskey guy. I definitely drink Jack Daniel's whiskey. That is what I would drink out of the Stanley Cup.
You know how much whiskey that thing could hold? That is a huge cup, man. Like, you're going to die.
I'll be all right. That's what I would want. That's the type of guy I am. Wow.
Straight whiskey for Jake Medlock from the Stanley Cup. Oh, man, you're a braver man than I. I think you're a crazier man than most. But all right, we've had Miller High Life and whiskey, and I think somebody said like Martinelli's sparkling cider. But hey, choose your poison and choose it wisely. But hey, thank you so much for taking time to be on the show. I wish you guys the best of luck in your last game of the season, and I know that it won't end the way that you guys had previously hoped it could with a W this weekend. But nonetheless, you guys have the opportunity to really complicate things and make everyone's life harder that has to make the decisions of who goes where the next week. So, hey, enjoy it this weekend, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Tell Coach I said hello, and the rest of the guys give your all-star wide receiver, Mr. Hollenbeck, a high five for me, and I will watch the game, and I'll talk to you later on.
All right. Sounds like a plan. Yes, sir.
All right. Have a good night, Jake.
All right. You too.
And that was Jake Medlock of the Cedar Rapids Titans. It's good to hear him be in such high spirits going into a week like this. Man, that would be crushing. The strength of schedule comes down to a game you didn't get to play. Oof. This is why I do power rankings, because my power rankings can help be the deciding factor. Had it not been for Nebraska clinching the fourth and final spot according to the IFL standards and tiebreakers and metrics and whatever else, I would have put Cedar Rapids and maybe even Green Bay both above Nebraska, because it comes down to what have you done for me lately. Nebraska is getting into the playoffs, and let's all keep in mind here, folks, okay, before we start throwing sour grapes, that I have friends on all 6 teams of the IFL. This is not any reflection of them as people or any ill will or bad feelings towards any organization or staff or whatever. This is just plain and simple, calling it like I see it. My friend Marshall is one of the coaches on Nebraska. There's no ill intent to anything that I'm about to say. This is simply the truth as far as my opinion goes, okay? So Nebraska is being awarded a playoff spot for what they did the first 4 weeks of the season because they haven't done anything since. Where Cedar Rapids, I feel like, should be rewarded because of what they could potentially do the last 4 weeks of the season. I mean, you could argue it both ways. Well, why'd Cedar Rapids have to wait so long to finally kick it in gear and start getting some wins? Okay. Has Nebraska done anything since their 4 wins? No, but they got them early. Should Cedar Rapids be penalized for their game that got canceled due to inclement weather? No, but it's a fine line. It's a 16 league, and it's tough no matter who you are. There is no perfect way to do this. There's not. I would like to see points for and against certain opponents maybe come into play, but that's not how it is. So your 4 teams are going to be not in this order, well, except for the last one. So the Iowa Barnstormers, Sioux Falls Storm, Arizona Rattlers, and that 4th spot goes to the Nebraska Danger. And all 3 of those games happen this weekend. Arizona will take on the Nebraska Danger. Saturday kickoff is at 5 Eastern, or 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Green Bay against Sioux Falls, 8:05 Eastern, 5:05 Pacific. And finally, Cedar Rapids against Iowa, 8:05 Eastern, 5:05 Pacific for those kickoffs. So all 3 happening at once. National Arena League, we've got 2 games. Lehigh Valley Steelhawks against the Maine Mammoths. That kickoff is at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. And then Columbus against Massachusetts. That game is also Saturday at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. And speaking of the National Arena League, Amir Ishmael heard comments from Coach Billy Back made on my show earlier, where Coach Back made some comments about his rivalry or lack thereof with Amir, and that if he wants to settle things, that he needs to get ready and get his extra small polo shirt on and turn his hat backwards and get ready to go to war. And I offered my assistance. I could throw on the referee shirt and bring out the Rock'em Sock'em Robots. Nick Hague and Pasquale Vacchio know all about that. And he said, no, we'll settle this on the field. And so Amir better bring his best, more or less words, but not, regardless, these guys are friends at the end of the day, but they're enemies on select Saturdays in the National Arena League. So here, in a 2-part voicemail, are the words of Coach Amir Ishmael and what he thinks of the Pirates season so far, and Coach Billy Back.
Richard, thanks for having me on the show. Always a pleasure. This is Coach Amir Ishmael with Massachusetts Pirates. Wanted to touch base with you and talk about our upcoming game against Columbus Lions. This will be a battle for second place. And, we were very fortunate and squeaked one out with the victory the first time we played them. It's going to be another tough battle. They have a tremendous quarterback, Mason Espinoza. And their fullback is real tough. Played at the University of Georgia, and essentially, is one of the best fullback, running fullback in this league. So he's tough to bring down. He makes a lot of guys miss. So we got to do a good job accounting for him, and and their physical receivers, they do a good job using their bodies. So we just got to tackle well and execute, take care of the ball on offense and finish in goal-to-go situations, and it should be a tough battle, and hopefully come out with the victory. As far as listening to Hello, Richard. This is Amir again. I got cut off first time, but I just wanted to touch base about, listening in on you and Coach Back, talk about, his success and, the rivalry and then his response, was something along the lines of it's not much of a rivalry considering they won the first two ones, but, it's definitely easy to say when you had two games at home and you get, 4 or 5 penalties on each final drive to seal the victory and get, multiple opportunities. I did happen to see, the hundreds of dollars that, fell out of his pocket when he reached over, to shake the referee's hand. So, that's a factor that we didn't account for, as well as, him being able to just, since he's so small, him being able to be in the huddle. Most of the time the coach has got to be behind the numbers, but, his slick ability to, be in the huddle since, he's nice and hobbit sized, makes it very, very conducive to call plays and, not have to relay it to the quarterback like all of the rest of us in arena football have to do. He gets to actually call the huddle and be in the huddle. So, with that being said, I didn't hear all of it because all I heard was screaming babies in the background, when he was on air with you. But for the most part, love Coach Back, good friend of mine, and we look forward to having him come to Massachusetts and, get on board the Black Pearl. All right. Amir Ismail, Massachusetts Pirates head coach, football, out. Bye.
I had my microphone on mute that whole damn time because I'm trying not to laugh too loud, and then I just said, screw it. I hit the mute button. I'm laughing the whole time because it's just... he called me, and he's just like, am I on right now? And I was like, no, man. Like, I'm not even home yet. He's like, oh, I got words for Coach Back. And I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. You're going to call. You're going to leave me a voicemail. All right. And it said, you say whatever you want, man. Like, you talk about your upcoming game and the season so far. But, whatever you got to say to him, and I'll play it on the air. He's like, all right, done. That's what he came up with. Oh, I love these guys so much. They're definitely my favorite part about what I do and the show is guys like Amir, Coach Back, and the whole National Arena League and those organizations. They've been so much fun to have and entertain this season, and the season's not over yet. IFL's getting wrapped up, but we still got indoor football in the shape of the NAL continuing on for about another month and a half, and that's good. That's good. You like football when there's no football. So all of you that say there's no football, there is. You just gotta look for it, and it's out there. It's on YouTube, and you guys can subscribe to the NAL and the IFL pages so you get notifications. But it's a good broadcast for the most part. Obviously, teams like Arizona and Iowa have really great broadcasts because their team doing the broadcast for YouTube is also doing it for their local TV networks, right? Some Cedar Rapids, not the best. Nebraska, not the best, but it's what do you do with a low budget, right? You do the best that you can. And that's what they do. The National Arena League, Jacksonville, has a great broadcast. Carolina, good broadcast. Most of the teams in the league have really good broadcasts. So check them out on YouTube. Doesn't cost you anything. You just have to download the app, go to youtube.com, National Arena League or Indoor Football League, and hit subscribe and get the notifications. Speaking of subscribing and notifications, you can be in the know every step of the way with all things football nonsense and beyond. As if we were Bed Bath & Beyond. We're football and nonsense and beyond, except for F.A.N. doesn't fit. F.A.N.A.B. doesn't fit on the logo just right. I did my first rough sketch design of the F.A.N. bot last night. I would love to bring that thing to life. So anybody that knows how to get sponsors to make a fighting robot for BattleBots, it would compete strictly in exhibition unless they said, hey, you want to do this thing for real? Okay. That'd be a lot of fun. I miss Jay Leno's robot, but my inspiration for this, it screams The Fan Show. Even says The Fan Show right on it. Anyway, you guys can follow me on all forms of social media, and that is Twitter at FanShowOfficial, Facebook.com/FanShowOfficial. Instagram and Snapchat are both The Fan Show. And then, of course, the home base for all things football and nonsense is thefanshow.com, where you can listen to every episode live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. And subscribe to the podcast if you can't on iTunes, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio. And you can also hear live and podcast versions on Spreaker.com. So there's so many ways to listen and enjoy the Fan Show. Please, I encourage you to join in on the fun. We have this great chat feature on Spreaker. When I go live, you guys can get in there and start smack talking, or throwing in your 2 cents, whatever you want to do if you're available for an hour every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. 3 hours a week is all I ask from you guys. But thank you for all of you that support the show in some manner, buying a t-shirt, downloading the show, or just spreading the word. It means the world to me. So that'll do it for this Thursday, for this week on the Fan Show. Back next week for Fan Appreciation Week. It's something we do every year here on the Fan Show. So you're going to hear from a lot of fans, because this is the Fan Show, and I love the fans. Until next time, until next week, ladies and gentlemen, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and remember, of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks.
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.